Tracy
So,
told me to give it to you,
on,
but
on these firearms, are they getting auctioned? Or?
You sure?
Is that your hair? Or somebody
it's
else's?
not. It's not mine. Tracy can attest to it. It was there when
Oh,
I
it's
sat
there in
down.
this one too, look.
Yeah, I know. So I didn't get yours.
Somebody needs to clean our chairs out.
I know. Nasty.
Ugh.
Well, I'll have to use my finger.
Well, at least it ain't growing something, that's for sure. Turn off the
never know.
phone. Okay.
Alrighty. Okay.
In.
Thank you for everyone. I want to get. Oh, he's not going to give me the thing. There, that's what I was waiting for. All right, I call to order this special city council meeting budget workshop on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, 6 p.m. in the City Hall Council chambers. Item number 2, discussion, consideration and possible action regarding the draft fiscal year 2026 general fund.
Everything on the agenda. Funds 1 through 99.
Right.
Yes, Mayor and Council, so this is our first budget hearing of the year. If we could get this PowerPoint up on the screen, please. I want to thank everybody for coming out early tonight. I know it's difficult when we have the workshop, but there's so much to the budget that we need to do the workshop. You've got the draft budget in your packet. It will change slightly between now and adoption. So a few reasons for that. One, we're still waiting on final health insurance numbers for the next fiscal year, and then we'll finalize our estimates for the end of this year between now and then. So there will be a few changes, slight changes. I will tell you what those changes are once we have all of those identified and you have the final adoption in September. So before we get started, I do want to thank the department heads for their hard work in preparing this budget. Would also like to thank Kim for all of her time and effort in the budget. It is not an easy task. So there's an enormous amount of pages included in the budget, which are in your packet. So I will not go over each individual fund. I do have a presentation for you that covers the major funds, general fund, GPWA, fund balances, any capital projects or capital expenditures, one-time monies, things of that nature. If you have a specific question, I'd be happy to answer that to the best of my ability. If you take the budget home and you come back and say, Eddie, what's this? Or if you want to send me an email with questions, be happy to answer those and share those with the entirety of the council as well. So feel free to interrupt anytime. We'll get through this as best we can and get started. Any questions before we do? Yes, ma'am.
Would you prefer questions within your presentation at that budget item or wait till later?
Within the presentation's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'd rather do it then. I may have to get back to you on something. So,
Yeah, no.
but perfect.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right. Get started here. So I want to start with the calendar just to kind of explain and emphasize the heavy lift that goes into this budget. We start our budget season. Most municipalities in the state of Oklahoma, in fact, I'm not aware of another municipality that has an October 1 fiscal year. So most municipalities adopt their budget June 15th or before June 15th. So we're a little different. We don't adopt until September for the October budget year. We start our budget season in May, whereas most municipalities would start in January or February. So what you're seeing is not something we just threw together. It's something that started in May and has been a living, breathing document, which is my favorite way to describe the budget. It is not set in stone. Everything you see here, it is a guide. The way I like to compare it, again, is a living, breathing document. It is the maximum. We cannot go over what is in this budget document without your approval via a budget amendment or a new budget. So keep that in mind. Just because there's something there doesn't mean that it'll always be funded or that it will be executed. Another thing to keep in mind is that just because there's something in the budget that you fund does not mean that it can be paid for without your separate approval. So if you fund $100,000 worth of improvements, I can only spend through the purchasing authority up to $25,000. So if there's $100,000 there, it's still coming back to you for approval. So that oftentimes will bring people comfort when we have that discussion. Actual revenue collections may vary. We're forecasting a flat budget and actual sales tax collections for fiscal year 26. So you recall, when we came in, our sales tax collections were really high. That was scary for me as a city manager in a new city, because we had gone from what I would consider modest growth or flat growth to like in excess of 10% in one fiscal year. That's not sustainable. The staff has been on board with keeping a conservative budget each year. This is our third one together, and we have kept it flat. So last year we reverted to the prior year actuals. This year we're keeping it flat in sales tax collections. Fund balance numbers may vary as well. This is largely because one-time capital expenditures are encouraged to be purchased at year end with any surplus funds that did not get expended. This is something we've seen in years past. For example, the Public Works Department, at the time that I did this PowerPoint, had 10 open positions. That changes daily. We budget for those positions unless they're frozen. So sometimes Tenny has excess salary monies that we will then use a percentage of for one-time purchases. That's how we were able to purchase the Parks building that has just been erected and almost complete, not quite yet. We've been able to purchase vehicles and equipment. Really made a lot of good progress in the Public Works Department by taking a percentage of those excess salary funds each year. So those fund balance numbers may vary between now and the end of the year, but again, that's something you'll know as you would be approving each expenditure as it comes along. Projected fiscal year 25 end fund balance. Take you real quick through the budget. So we budgeted in fiscal year 25 to end the general fund at 3.3 million, GPWA at 2.1 million. We are currently estimating to end the year at $4 million in the general fund and 2.182 in the GPWA fund. A lot of that, again, is due to timing. So each year we budget for projects, for example, a transfer for projects like Poland Field or airport projects that we haven't expended the funds on yet. So when you see those differences, there's always a reason. It's not, hey, the city's sitting on a bunch of cash. It's that there's an allocation that hasn't been expended yet for whatever the reason may be. A prime example in the general fund, and you'll see this as we go through, in your proposed fiscal year 26 budget is substantially less than what you had in the fiscal year 25 budget. Well, you've got $15 million worth of projects going on at the airport, and our local match is reflected in a transfer from the general fund. So if those monies don't actually get expended, then you'll see a difference in what's budgeted versus what's actual. Taking a look at our historical average, fiscal year 23, general fund balance was 3.5 million, GPWA 2.4. Fiscal year 24, 3.9 million general fund, 2.2 GPWA. Fiscal year 25, again, we budgeted 3.3 and 2.1, and we're proposing in fiscal year 26, 2.7 and 2 million. So we're hovering around in a safe zone in both of those funds for issues like a $600,000 water main break that happened unexpectedly. If we didn't have a fund balance that would support a project like that, we would be having very real different conversations about how to fund those projects, like borrowing money to fix a water main. So this is a testament to the City Council's leadership and your staff for ensuring that we're in a good financial position. Stabilization funds requires a minimum of $1 million in each fund. As you can see, we hit that goal in fiscal year 23, the council had previously set. We estimate this year to be at 1.432 in the general fund and just over almost 1.1 in GPWA. We estimate in fiscal year 26, 1.49 and 1.143 in the GPWA stabilization funds. So, any questions on your fund balance or your stabilization funds at this time? I'm pressing the button, it's just not working. We went through this before.
Your pages don't match.
I promise that I know how to do that. My pages don't match?
No,
Well, you don't, the PowerPoint's not in your packet.
I know.
Okay. Fiscal year 25-26, projected revenues. Again, as I mentioned, the large one, which is our sales tax revenue, we have kept flat for fiscal year 26. We'll take a look, fiscal year 25 budget, 6.8 million. We estimate to end of the year at 7.1. So we've got a couple of months to go yet. So it could be good, it could not be. It's a guessing game. I would rather be conservative in our budgeting for our major revenue source than to overestimate. Most cities over the last few years have estimated annually a 2% increase in sales tax collections. That has put many cities in a position where they're literally making budget amendments, taking funds out of fund balance to supplement their year-end budget to be even. We are not in that position. And the reason we're not in that position is because we're keeping our revenue estimates conservative. So, same thing, CIP sales tax revenue, we've kept that flat at that 1.720. We do estimate it'll be about $50,000 higher. Use tax revenue, the use tax is really kind of interesting because generally if your sales tax dips, your use tax will supplement. And the use tax is the sales tax collected on online sales. We've seen a large decrease, 10%, in use tax collections. So it's interesting how things work and how that timing kind of ebbs and flows. But you've seen that in the monthly reports that come out that sales tax for some reason has been higher and use tax has been lower. We've seen that in the metro. I've visited with other city managers and they've seen the same thing. Usually you can supplement your sales tax with your use tax. That's not the case this year. So,
Do you think that's an issue with the online vendors not paying up what they're supposed to be paying up? Because I think everybody's ordering more online these days and everybody's charging tax.
yeah, it's a catch-22.
No way to collect that formally though, is there?
You can and you can't because the data is only as good as what you put in. And so it all comes from the tax commission. So a prime example is when food trucks are in town, right? They're supposed to be remitting and paying sales tax. And when we're aware of that, we're checking. But keep in mind, if I send you a sales tax report for August, it's for June. So you're 60 days out before you can verify that information.
But we're talking about use tax online sales.
Correct. What I'm saying is whatever's reported OTC is what's remitted to us.
Right.
And so again, an example of that is food trucks. The sales tax, again, we've had months since I've been here where sales tax collections were down 10%. It's real easy to tie back sales tax because I can look at who the largest vendors are and what their remittance is. Use tax fluctuates because so many of the online sales, depending on where they take place, is where the tax is collected. And so this month, you may have a large online retailer. All sales tax information is confidential, so we can't share that. But you may have a large online retailer who has a substantially larger check this month, and then next month they find out that they meant to remit it to Guthrie, Texas. I've had that happen before. So it's really just the best information that you can get at the time. And when we reach out to OTC, when we have those big fluctuations, usually there's an explanation, but not always. This is what we've been given. So. Others and transfers, 3.8 million is what we proposed in in fiscal year 26. In fiscal year 25, we budgeted 3.199. It brings our total for the general fund 3.685, whereas whereas the fiscal year 25 budget was 13 million. So GPWA estimate that total revenue to be 8.2 in fiscal year 26, and fiscal year 25 budget was 7.9. So brings your total to your major funds 21,904,032, whereas fiscal year 25 budget was 20,945. Any questions on this slide? Fiscal year 25-26 projected expenses. Start with fiscal year 25 budget. We estimated $21.4 million in the budget. We're going to come in slightly lower with our estimate of 21,171. GPWA, we estimated 16.6. We're going to come in slightly higher, 16.9. There's a variety of reasons behind that. Fiscal year 26 proposed 22.285, and then in the general fund in GPWA 16.8, brings a grand total 39 million. A lot of the difference that you're seeing here is going to be your grant matches and your expenditures that we've planned for each year that we haven't actually expended. So when you, for example, use the airport because it's an easy one, that is a general fund transfer. You've got $500,000 in allocations that we've been planning for since fiscal year 23 that may not take place until fiscal year 27. But we have to be prepared based on engineering and construction when those will queue up and when they'll take place. So, any questions? Nope. Fiscal year 25-26 grant match. Start with Owen Field, the Land Water Conservation Fund. As a reminder, that was originally a $1 million grant with a $1 million match. We did receive our amended funding allocation to bring us to a total of $4.7 million for construction at Owen Field. Super excited to see that project get off the ground. College Avenue Bridge. This project keeps growing. When we submitted that originally, it was a $2 million project, and our match was about $500,000. Last conversation with Tenny and Ken, we estimated to be 2.7, with a city match of up to $1 million funded via the street CIP funds. Just a reminder that College Avenue Bridge is the one of the worst bridges that we have under our jurisdiction within the city of Guthrie. So that project was funded through ODOT, which was a result of Congresswoman Stephanie Bice advocating on our behalf through congressionally directed spending. So, airport terminal, estimating $6 million on it. City match $600,000, $300,000 from general fund, $300,000 from City of Edmond. So we'll see. We'll see where that comes in once we get to that point. Could be higher, could be lower. Taxiway realignment. That project, of course, has been awarded to Comtech. They will begin construction, I believe, next week, August 11th. It's a $5.8 million project, $663,000 for the city match, $331,000 general fund, $331,000 city of Edmond. Last one we got, land acquisition out of the airport, $295,000 total in the grant. City match is $32,778. And we do not split that expenditure with the City of Edmond because we will always own the airport. So we have not split any land acquisition with Edmond. We've split capital projects, but we will not be splitting land acquisition. So there's no ownership for Edmond in the airport. Okay? A couple of slides here for notes. Of course, we've talked about sales tax collections. Where we're at so far, we're approximately 2% higher than what we budgeted. We've kept both sales and use tax flat for fiscal year 26. Fiscal year 25 versus 24, wages, benefits, 26 versus 25. Looking at 2% COLAs for non-union employees, 2.5% to 5% merit raises based on supervisory evaluations, et cetera. And then we were estimating a 20% increase in health insurance premiums. We do that each year. luckily has not been a 20% increase since I've been here. However, the first number we always get back is always a double-digit number, and we're always able to negotiate that down to a single digit. So I do feel that we're going to be below 10%. I hope that we're going to be below 10%. Should have that relatively soon. Was told we would have it by the second week in August, so anticipate that soon, but we have budgeted for that 20%. CDA negotiations are ongoing. We have an item for that tonight in executive session. Talk about some of the large expenditures which make that fund balance ebb and flow. A large one coming up for next year is a multi-agency training facility, which will accommodate police, fire, and dispatch, as well as surrounding agencies, Logan County, fire departments, etc. It's funded from the general fund in the amount of $515,000, which has a 50% grant match through the Department of Justice and the grant that Chief Swagger wrote and received. Because of that grant match and the size of that, we have not funded any police units in this budget. However, depending on the timing of cost estimates and potential payouts for construction, if there is an opportunity for the police department to purchase a unit, that is something we may bring to you with funds that were budgeted to the facility that may not get expended next fiscal year. So we got in this cycle for a long time of not buying police cars, not buying police cars, not buying police cars. And instead of buying 1 or 2 every year, now you need 10.
Which we've done.
Right. And we don't ever want to do that again. So as much as I would like to budget and purchase 2 cars every year, it hasn't worked out that way. We have been able to acquire units when one comes available. We've been able to do that. We did get 1 this year, bought a truck last year. If there are funds available, we will look to bring that back to you.
Have we got any new ones at all? Or did you say we got one?
Yes, yeah. So we got a truck this year,
Okay.
1 Tahoe, and then the year before, we got a couple of Tahoes and a truck.
Okay.
So
I didn't know if they were still on back order from years ago.
it takes about a year. It
Okay,
takes
yeah.
about a year. So,
Okay.
it's, again, it's an ebb and
It's
flow. We go
nuts.
in there, we order it in October, and usually around May is when the unit comes in, and then we spend another 60, 90 days trying to get it upfitted. So, supply chain and
Nuts.
relying on dealers and service industry can be challenging. So, storm siren upgrades are budgeted in the general fund for approximately $25,000. Each year we've budgeted some amount, and we've not expended that. It is something that we may expend this year. Substantial airport improvements, again, for grant match funded through the general fund, approximately $500,000. One new zero-turn mower is funded in this budget for the airport, an amount not to exceed $16,000. The airport had a John Deere tractor that they no longer had a need for. And so in lieu of buying a mower for the parks department, which is what we would typically do each year, whether it's parks or the cemetery, we have swapped the tractor from the airport because it has a better use for public works. We've taken that money to go buy a new zero-turn mower that will be better utilized out of the airport. So it's an example of staff utilizing existing resources to make things work. No new bargaining positions have been added to this budget. Again, I tell you this every year. We continue to explore possible succession planning in all departments, as well as funding solutions to implement those possible plans. In this budget, 4 employee retirement burden payouts for long-term employees who are considering retirement are also funded. So there's a reason we're succession planning. It's not just because we're planning for the future, but it's also because we've got 30-year employees who are looking at their next step.
$30,000. Debbie wants more air conditioning in it. You probably want air conditioning in yours. Yeah, that's what I thought. Air conditioning and heat.
Okay. The downtown lighting grant funded through the capital equipment fund, $10,000, which of course the council authorized that. Proposed tourism economic development contract funded. We've talked about the DAFI We've put it in the budget. It's not something, that contract's not been approved. Of course, I will come back to you at a later date. It's something we have prepared for based on your feedback. Retail strategies, a $45,000 contract for that has been included. Event sponsorships limited. I will say it is something that, you know, we've tried to help every event that we can. This year, fiscal year 26, the Lazy E has recruited the National Junior High Rodeos to the Lazy E Arena. In 2022, the city of Guthrie committed $10,000 annually for up to 3 years to support that event. So that is something that we're preparing for in this budget. It'll be a great event coming out to the Lazy E. It's going to bring an enormous amount of tourism and folks to the community. It is something that will, in our eyes, will supplement the loss of the Little Britches Rodeo. So Little Britches, their final year was this year, but this will be as big, if not larger, than Little Britches, and will be replaced out of the Lazy E. You'll recall a couple years back, the city of Guthrie decided to fund the fire and EMS department with a $200,000 transfer from GPWA. We have continued that for a couple of years for some temporary full-time positions. I'm happy to report, due to EMS collections, we're able to no longer make that transfer. So the fire and EMS department, again, I cannot applaud Chief Lawson, Chief Braden, and Neff. Again, my PowerPoint's out of date already, so I told you at the orientation, the EMS billable turnaround time when Chief Lawson was hired was 21 days. We had it down to at orientation to 1.3 days, and Chief Lawson let me know late last week that we're less than 1 day now.
Whoa.
So I think all he's doing is sending out
That's impressive.
billables, but the collections have certainly increased, and we appreciate that. Fire and EMS, we're currently staffed at 11 men per shift. Just for some perspective, when I started in 2023, we were at 9 guys per shift. The staff, former city manager and fire chief added 1 person per shift with that $200,000 transfer. We've been able to keep those positions and add an additional 1, and we no longer need that transfer. So those are all good things. We have also added 5 part-time paramedics, and we've supplemented the deputy chief's salary, 80% of it, through the opioid abatement settlement funds, which had a very narrow and limited use for that settlement. Something we've got here, again, I talked about the College Avenue Bridge. I've got that highlighted because it was originally a $500,000 grant, and that's just an example of, $500,000 match, and that's just an example of how projects, when they are delayed for whatever reason, they continue to increase in cost. We've seen it with Owen Field, we've seen it with literally every project we've done, and so for the bridge to go from $500,000 to $1 million, while there are some factors with the railroad and with the creek, we still continue to see inflation, and we're starting to see some impact of tariffs on certain projects. So we've also funded a possible interlocal agreement with Logan County to reconstruct College Avenue from I-35 to Highway 33. That's $180,000, and that comes at the recommendation of the street committee. Waterline relocation along the railroad tracks from Warner to College. That's a $500,000 project that we were estimating. That was a result of the main that was busted and that we're currently repairing. And the railroad came in and said, okay, while you're going to fix this, you're also going to move your line here, or you're going to permit it. And to permit it, it's going to be $180,000. Okay, well, we're not going to pay for a permit for something that we probably need to relocate anyway. Possible contract mowing service for Summit View. So something that I've heard consistently since I've been here is, and honestly, mowing for any community is something you just can't stay on top of. Got personal experience with working with outside contractors on mowing for cemeteries, center medians, etc. Something we're planning for, at least to try, due to staffing shortages and really just not enough hours in the day. is looking at putting a contract out for bid to mow Summit View. Summit View is very near and dear to us. Our guys take great pride in making sure that the cemetery is mowed and kept in the best of shape. This year, with the constant rain, unfortunately, we can't control the weather. We've not been able to stay on top of it quite like we normally would. But what else do you do when every day it rains an inch in less than an hour? It's, do what you can. And I applaud our guys and commend them for doing what they can. Something we want to look at, and we've estimated in this budget, based on these conversations and the feedback I've heard from you, is a contract mowing service for the cemetery. I'd like to also explore center medians at some point. I'm not sure that we'll do that at the same time, but we definitely want to try it for some here. Water treatment plant SCADA upgrade. For those of you who came to the orientation and to the tour, you were able to see that the SCADA system, which runs your water treatment facility, is operating on a 2007 Windows machine. It is well past time to upgrade that.
Yeah, I think so.
And that cost is approximately $55,000. Wastewater treatment plant, although it's not operating on a 2007 system, because it just got completed, we would like for the SCADA system on both facilities to be consistent and something that we could work and maybe cross-train employees on. We're going to take a look at this mid-year and see where we're at in terms of the fund balance in the GPWA. If the fund balance in GPWA will support it, it's a $65,000 expenditure. So those are two very important upgrades that may need to be funded. Will need to be funded. Water treatment may need to be funded wastewater. Maybe if I hold my tongue. And then the last thing, the CMOM sewer line replacement under JELSMA. That's something that's been a problem for a number of years. It's something that we had planned on, I believe, in fiscal year 22, 23, and we ended up using those funds to replace lift station number 4, which was the lift station over near Cotterell School. So, in a nutshell, that is your proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26. I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Good job, Eddie.
Yep.
Yes, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you to the staff. They are the ones who work on this. So,
I do have questions, but I can email them.
if you would, that'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Anybody else have any comments or questions for Eddie or staff while they're here? Nobody? Nobody named Jeff?
Nope. Nothing, honey. Well done. Yep. All right.
Yes, well done.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if nobody has anything, we will go ahead and we will adjourn this budget workshop. And
Yeah, that's fine.
we'll go ahead and roll right on into the
Yes, sir.
regular meeting, and we will call to order. Our regular meeting is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, 6:30, we're a little past 6:30 here in the council chambers. Item number 2, we have public comments.
Want to wait for
Yes.
Prayer.
You want to go ahead and do that too? Okay, I thought we were behind. Okay. Brian, will you do the? Yes. Thank you. I was going to go into it.
Going right into it.
We were behind. Okay. Please join us as we use. Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Pledge allegiance to
the flag
Please remain for a prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give you thanks for our beautiful city of Guthrie and all those who live here. As we approach the start of the school year, help each one of us to be on the lookout for ways to be helpful to our neighbors near and far. Help us to be alert at crosswalks and compassionate towards students, teachers, and staff in this yearly time of transition. Please be present in our meeting tonight, guide our conversations and decisions, and guard the hearts and minds of each person here as they seek to do your work in the world. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Boy, it wasn't the smoothest of meetings I've done. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Master. All right. Public comments, community announcements, and recognitions. We have one, Mr. Joseph Chappell, but that is for the pool, so I will go ahead and wait until that comes up, item number comes up, and then he can go ahead and go. Item number 3, we have the consent agenda. Items A, gosh dang, half the alphabet here. Items A through O.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Anybody have any questions or concerns with anything on the consent agenda?
No reading.
Ready?
I'm gonna make it a motion to approve as
Thank
written.
you.
Second.
We have a motion, appreciate that. We have a motion and a second. If there's no further comments or questions, we will cast our votes.
All votes are in.
All right, unanimous approval from all those present on the consent agenda through items A through O. Item number 4, items removed from the consent agenda, there were none. And then we move on to item number 5, the Highland Park Pool update. Eddie, do you want to begin on this, or do we want to have Mr. Chappell come up?
Mayor, I think we're ready for Mr. Chappell and the Friends of the Guthrie Pool Committee. I've got some handouts here. Mr. Chappell was more than prepared, so.
Oh, okay,
I'm
excellent.
going to come hand these out to you, and we'll welcome Mr. Chappell.
All right.
Or Justin will hand them out to you, and we'll welcome Mr. Chappell up to the.
All right, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Joe Chappell, 519 North Park Street. Thanks for your service to our community. Appreciate each and every one of you because I know it's not an easy job and it's thankless. We were here last month talking to you about giving Friends of the Guthrie Pool, and what you just got is the flyer that we're handing out and our pledge sheet. We have, as of today, because of a $25 donation this afternoon, we have $290,000 in funds raised so far. These funds came from 26 donors. One lady wrote a check for $50 and asked us if we'd hold it for a week. That's giving, okay? We have F&M Bank and Bank First have both partners with us and made considerable donations and have agreed if we get close to our goal, of course, we don't really know what our goal is, and that's something we need to talk about, but that they have agreed to help more going forward. So not only did they present us with a pledge, they've agreed to do more, so they're all in on the pool for Guthrie. We're trying to get corporate sponsors, and what we have found with grants, getting grants, is that, and of course this is probably something Eddie could have told me, not that I asked or I expected you to, but you know, you can't get a grant unless you know exactly what you're going to do. You have to have a design and a firm, you know, so those aren't really available to us yet. Corporate sponsors, those take time, but we've reached out to Love's and Home Depot. I've got some pictures that I want to show you that Erin has back there. And, you know, last time we talked about, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, when this grassroots group of people got together to improve our existing pool. I didn't have any pictures, but I just wanted you to see what a beautiful pool we had. And, you know, like I said, I was a lifeguard there. And the pool never looked as good as it did just before it closed. Attendance had gone up because there were umbrellas and shade and lots of chairs. And this isn't even all the chairs that we purchased, because we thought we would get a really good price on these chairs. And we have a good amount of them in storage that have never seen the light of day. So that's something going forward that the city might be able to use. You know, our hope, and then I wanted to go to the next picture, and this is the pool that is proposed to go in that place. And 1,500 square feet, 0 entry. This is the one that has been designed. You know, when I talk to, you know, and I've talked to a lot of people here in Guthrie, they really can't see spending $2 million for a 1,500 square foot pool. That pretty much seems to be the general consensus that I go everywhere. I want to show you the next slide, please. And I showed you these last time, but this is the Hennessy pool, which was completed 5 years ago. And I did want you to see the little layout of the pool there. If you can see, it's got the 0 entry, and then it's got some lap, and then it's got a deep end. And one thing, you can go to the Cushing one too. 0 entry, lap pools, deep end. And then the one that I think is most pertinent to Guthrie, and I feel like there's probably lessons to be learned. I drove up to Alva this week, and this is their pool. You can go to the next shot. They had the largest WPA pool in the state, which is what our pool was. And you can see that a similar type of, what is that, the dressing rooms, shower rooms. And as I pointed out last time, that the city and in fact, I'll read directly from the article. The Committee of Citizens worked with the city for the hearings, design plans, and eventually the fundraising drive. Kimberly Horn was chosen to design the new pool, and Ascend Commercial Builders was the contractor. They had no sales tax or cost to citizens was required to pay for this project. It's a $6 million pool. I don't think Guthrie needs something this large, but I think it needs something this good.
But they did have families donate to that.
There was a $1.5 million donation, but they still had to come up with another $4.5 million, which they did. I don't know how they did it. I think it would be interesting to find out.
I will say, I reached out to Steve Ford, the city manager in Alva. The city took out a $1.9 million loan to supplement that project. So I've asked for the bid documents, and I've not yet received them, but the city took out a loan to pay for that.
I thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, there's several things that our group is trying to do, and I think that, you know, any larger pool is going to require just not 10 or 12 people trying to raise funds, but it's going to take everybody in the community, city councilmen, staff, people that buy into the idea. You know, we've seen in our, you know, in the travels that I've made, we've seen what's possible in towns that are, you know, half our size or a quarter of our size, but they came together and they found a will and they made it happen. What we're asking you to do is look at what smaller towns around us have accomplished, and we just like to believe that if they can do it, so can we. I think that's about all I've got to say, and if you guys have any questions. Some of the things that we brainstormed on, Linda Miller, who's one of my classmates, she's agreed to raise money from the class of '74. And we thought about challenging other classes. Sending, there's always that one or two people in your class that has everybody's emails, And so we thought that might be an interesting way to raise money. Trusts and family estates are something that, doesn't happen in a month. I feel real good about what we did this month, especially with the 4th of July week and all. In our last meeting, we had discussed asking you all for what we'd like to do is we just find this particular pool just too small. If it wasn't zero entry, it would still be too small. We would like the opportunity to come back in 3 months, or maybe just every 3 months, because I feel like, you can move fast and you can get something that isn't adequate. And sometimes time, of course, things get more expensive with time, I understand that. But to get the right thing and, to be the first capital of Oklahoma and to have always had a great water venue, even though it wasn't so great the last 10 or 15 years, we would just like the opportunity to work with the city and to get a place that kids in Guthrie in large groups can learn to swim. Certainly doesn't have to be as big as these pools, but to have a deep end. All these pools have diving boards. All of them have a deep end. They've all got zero, that zero access, a waiting area, slides. We just want to, and like I said, there's a lot of people here tonight that are supporting the pool, and then we've got, several people, a lot of people that aren't here that made donations, so they may not be in the seats. And I think that we've still got, we got some momentum, and I feel like that we just need to have a can-do attitude. So, any questions for me?
So if a motion was made to revisit in 90 days, that's what you're looking for right at this point?
Well, we just felt like, like in the Alva situation, I know it took them 8 years from the time they closed their pool down. And most of the people in my group don't like to think about that because they want it soon.
Yeah.
But we would just like the opportunity to continue to fundraise and see if we can, get the kind of pool that I feel like Guthrie deserves, or a kind of pool that, there's very few things in I know you hear about kids not having things to do, but this is a project that can touch people of all ages. It's not kids just playing baseball, or it's not kids on a skateboard. I talked to Paula Burnett the other day, and she used to go to the water aerobics. Of course, the water aerobics were happening when the kids were having their classes. And she said that sometimes there were 30 women in the pool doing water aerobics. This pool, you would have a difficult time just having 30 people do water aerobics because of the zero entry. I don't know what the actual measurements of this pool are, the deep end, because it wasn't available on the drawing that I had. But at our meeting last time, we wanted to see if we could set up something where we had another 3 months, if it's if it goes long term, if we're still making momentum. But we feel like we've got a lot of people willing to support us, and I think there's a lot of people that haven't been asked. I haven't asked all of you guys yet. And some of you have generously donated already. So But I didn't ask them. They came to me. Asking for money is not my strong suit. I've got a few women here that are really pretty good at it. But anyway, our hope is that we could revisit you in 3 months. And we hope that it could be, every 3 months, we could come back and tell you, well, we've raised this much more.
You are aware that and I don't know, Eddie would know more than me and maybe even Tenny, but as we delay, the price increases.
Right.
So there's a trade-off there too. I'll give you all the time you need, in my opinion. But realize that just like on the bridge, everything, was $500,000, now it's $1 million.
Right.
And so that happens.
That's why you guys make the big bucks.
Yeah.
You have to make these decisions.
I know.
Well, and Joe, I have a quick question.
Yes.
As far as size, like, the existing pool as it sits there today, what size is it, like, compared to?
The existing pool?
Yes.
The existing pool, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know it's close to 7,000 square
That's
feet.
correct.
It's Olympic size, isn't it?
No, it's a little smaller.
Is it?
I don't think it's quite as long as an Olympic pool. I don't know by how much.
So, okay, 7,000 square. So I'm kind of just looking at, like, the packages that we looked at, like the CIP committee, and that we kind of were given, was a pool A, a pool B, and a pool C. Pool B was 3,000 square feet with an estimate of I wish it was 2,000, $2,981,213. So I'm saying if you double that to 6,000, I don't know, I'm not a contractor, but I would assume you maybe double the price. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But I guess I'm just asking kind of a goal of fundraising, like, do you guys have?
And, people
kind of
ask us what our
amount?
goal is, and, we don't know. Because we don't, is that me? No, good. I don't care who it is, I'm just glad it's not me.
This
So,
is a good point she made. Is one of those three offerings acceptable?
well, in a perfect world, it would, I know that 2 of those drawings are just drawings, right? There's no, what's the term I'm
Engineering or any
looking
of
for
that?
behind those?
They're just schematics, is that what you're looking for?
They haven't done the schematics yet.
Yeah, it's just a schematic, there's no,
It's just a drawing. The other 2 are. So, I don't know how hard it would be to come up with a third drawing.
But there's an estimate attached to those.
It's a couple $100,000 to come up with a third drawing.
An estimate.
that's correct. We have the estimate, we've been given the estimate, so
a lot.
just a quick reminder, where we're at today with the existing pool, 1.7 million direct costs, total estimated 2.1. The 3,000 square foot option, 2.9 direct costs, total estimated construction 3.5, which includes bonding and all the costs associated with public
Now,
construction.
In that design, was there 0 entry?
In the 3,000 square foot, yes, sir. All 3,
Okay, because it wasn't real visible from the,
yeah,
But
and
not
that would
at diving
include, would
board
that
depth.
include a deep end?
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
but not diving depth, right?
There is no diving board. It's not something that is encouraged by the city's insurance provider. So that's a separate conversation, but OMAG has strongly discouraged the use of any diving boards. The 2,300 square foot pool, subtotal direct cost 2.3 million, total 2.8. And something I want to point out, the pool itself is not the most expensive piece on what's proposed. The State Department of Health, you touch the pool, that we are a public entity. I can go build a pool in my backyard as a private citizen at a much better rate. We're a public entity. We are subject to the State Department of Health regulations and rules. Nothing about that facility is code compliant. So you touch the pool, we're touching the bathhouse, we're touching the chemical house. The roof on the chemical house is about to fall in as is. It's a miracle that there hasn't been something happen there. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. when you see these costs, and this has all been provided, it's a total package. It's not just, it's $2 million to build a pool. You're doing a bathhouse, you're doing a chemical house, you're upgrading restrooms, the fixtures, the service coming in, the service leaving, all new equipment. I mean, it's not just a 1,500 square foot hole with concrete. This is a whole package. So the pool itself, just the pool construction, is $750,000 on the 1,500 square feet. It's $2 million on the 3,000 square feet, and it's 1.4 on 2,300.
So when you're talking about average increases, which thus far, when you've got your last estimate, it was what percentage higher than we started? 5%? Is that correct?
At least.
So, given that stays the way, every year that passes, or every, I don't know, what time passed when you got the last estimate from the first?
This estimate is from April 16th. So
You could theoretically predict possibly the percentage of increase over a certain amount of time.
we were,
Just theoretically possible.
sure, yes, sir. We were informed yesterday, the State Department of Health has adopted the 2024 regulations for pool and spa, which has some updates, some new code requirements in terms of slides. They require, for example, with a new slide on pool construction, you have to include UV. That's an additional expense. It's something that, we're seeing
You have to include what?
UV bulbs through the water supply to the slide. So that's just a small example. The architects have not done any work on this project since April at our request. So
at one point, and I don't want to go too far back, but I do want to bring it up because obviously we want the same footprint we have today, which is the struggle. So, and I'm trying to get my mind around why we can't, the new pool is going to be like a gunite, right? Type scenario, is it not? They're going to go in and they're going to,
That's all.
I don't believe so.
No.
well, what's it going to be, concrete?
It's a drop-in type unit.
So that's what they're talking, a drop-in unit. Because my thought was, why can't we go in and replumb the bottom of the pool as it sits right now, right on top of it, cover over that, rebar and reconcrete all the sides and everything, and have a little bit smaller foot, maybe 1,000 square feet smaller, maybe 3 feet less deep, but the same basic footprint. And blow out the side of it where the shallow end is and make it zero coming in. Is that just a crazy amount of money?
we've not explored that option.
We should.
What we did in 2023, when we paid for the report from Carruthers Construction. Remember, this is not something we started. I didn't bring you a pool plan in April and say, here's what we are.
This has been going on
This has
for
been going
way
on for
before you
years.
were here.
Correct. So the direction we took after the 2023 Carruthers inspection report is that over 20% of the concrete foundation of the pool had completely failed. So the plumbing did not hold a PSI gauge. So if you'll recall from that report, that's when we launched the CIP committee, and that's when the council and the CIP committee decided the next steps for the pool, which is how we got here. If that's something we want to look at, try to explore, I'm sure
Well, it
that's
just
something we
seems
could
that
do.
it makes sense if we put, how deep is that pool, 12 feet?
In the deep end, I don't know that
10
it's
feet?
quite nine at the most.
10 feet?
No, 9, 8,
I think it's
8.5.
Looks a lot deeper than that. But even if we put a couple feet of concrete and rebar on the bottom of that with new plumbing, that's gonna hold any kind of water you're gonna put in it.
It's something I would want the architect and the engineers to look at.
Well, the bottom of that has to be dug up first to remove all the plumbing and
Probably, yeah,
piping under it.
get rid of all
It's
that.
gotta go.
So
Yeah.
I'm
So you're
not just
not-
throwing
you're
it out
not
there.
overlaying.
If we're looking at not ever gonna get this project done, because if we keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, the bill's gonna be 6-7 million.
But here's, and this is just my opinion, but why spend $2 million for a 1,500 square foot pool?
I agree.
Yeah.
Why do that?
Well,
Well, again,
it's
it's
really
not
like
just the
less
fifth.
than that.
So-
It's like 1 point something for the
700,000.
bathhouse and then a lot less for
Yeah,
softball. So
but still, I mean, the
Right.
kids still, you know, we
I think
still
what
have
we
a
did,
pool
Joe, is
that
we
only
tried to
holds
give
100.
something within a realistic budget that the city had. I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody
Yeah,
here.
it's
That's
true.
what we tried to do.
No, and I know that when the SIP committee came together, you know, I know they wanted Guthrie to have a pool, and they, you know, they had a lot of projects to deal
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that when they said 2 million for the pool, they thought, cool,
well, no,
you
we
know,
did-
we're
we
going to
did
be
try
able to
give
get
more.
something. The city had that, you know, that was a hard 2 million. You know, the city came up with something that we could get for $2 million. But when you, once again, I point out, when you look around us and see what these smaller towns have done, I'm sure that Alva was going, you know, in 8 years from now, this is going to cost us a lot more money. But, you know, sometimes it's not good to be expedient just to get something.
What year was
It
that?
takes thinking, I mean, I like you thinking outside of the box, Brian.
Yeah.
I don't know what the 2-point-some million that we have set back on this through CIP, how you even hold that. If this is
And that was
pushing
a
out
que-
3 years, for example, how do you hold that money
And that
in
was
the-
our,
in the
that was a
fund?
question that our group had too.
Because I don't think you can hold it.
We didn't finance this project, so if you want to hold the funds, that's your
Yeah.
prerogative. Now, a current council can't bind a future council.
That's what I'm saying.
So-
So it's not,
In 2 years, you may have a different council, and they could come in and say, we're going to use that $2 million somewhere else. But if your directive
that's
is.
the problem.
Yeah, but you're ours now.
If your directive is to hold that 2 million and allocate it to the pool, then that's what staff will do.
You know, I know, once again, we're talking about Alva, but, you know, they borrowed $1.6 million. If we got half the pool that they had, I think a lot of people would be happy, because it is huge.
What year was that?
And they borrowed what?
That was just
What'd you say?
completed not long ago.
I believe 1.9.
Oh, 9.
1.9 million. The city's already got 2 million, so we don't have to borrow, we just need to raise. And we need everybody raising money.
But the total price of that was
$6
$6 million.
8.
Yeah, but we
6.1.
don't need a pool that big, so it shouldn't be that.
Well, I liked what Eddie said, was that 2 million is not just for the pool, it's for redoing the bathhouse and the equipment room, which is a must, absolute, bar none. So the actual cost of the pool itself, 700-some thousand.
750.
So I like that perspective, because then I'm not looking at the whole project, I'm looking, okay, to make the pool itself bigger, how much more money we need for the pool itself.
Right.
And see, part of the deal too is like I said about trying to get grants, because there's grants that Neighborhood Solutions, which we've partnered with, can apply for. But, you know, I know the city's gotten grants before, like I just off the top of my head, I can remember, like for Mineral Wells Park, for the new park near the shops, for the baseball field. We've got people that have written grants before, but until you have a plan, you can't even apply for a grant.
Well, that's the problem that we have, because to come up with the plan is how much?
Well, you've got 3 options in front of you, and the city's already paid for most of option 1.
Right.
You know, any deviation there's going to be a redesign fee.
That's what I'm saying. So
So-
give us a ballpark of what we're looking at.
It's a 6-figure number.
Yeah, 100 grand plus,
Also remember that.
maybe 2.
We've said this before, but just to keep that out there too, kind of in line with what, on the back of what Tracy was saying, is that, remember when we go over the 2,400 square feet, that clicks us up into a new category.
Yeah.
And so the actual pool itself, not the bathhouse, is more expensive, because now you're having all of the
All of it.
88, all the compliance and all the,
And the filtering
Yeah,
system.
the gutter
everything
system,
inside
The
it,
yeah.
guttering
Yep.
system.
The guttering
Yeah.
deal, everything inside of the pump house.
right.
And I think that's what makes it so difficult to kind of, I'll speak for myself, to wrap my head around all of this as far as cost goes, is like Eddie said, I can go build a pool in my backyard for a certain amount, a certain size pool, a certain amount of money, and get it done. when it comes to municipalities, we have to deal with
It's a
the
whole
state
different-
health
it's a whole
department
different
and
deal.
every single thing that they require, which just like you know, we mentioned that now a UV lighting for water on the slide, you know, it's hard to quantify what size we might be looking at, what additional cost from the state point of view compared to these 3 pools that we've already kind of been given, the 3 sizes that, you know, and again, like Brian said, I hate to go backwards, but I was on the CIP committee. We spent many months, and Minecca was as well, kind of mulling over all of this. And to my understanding, I think back in April-ish, I think it was April, the pool was presented to the Parks Board, which I think was unanimously approved, the pool that we were talking about, the smaller pool. And then, you know, everybody kind of thought, well, no, now that's not going to be okay. And I am on board with the involvement. I mean, that's very exciting. The momentum that everyone has towards a goal. But again, it's just kind of, what is that size? What is the cost? And
What's the goal?
what's the goal?
I think double what,
Is the goal one of those 3 sizes?
I think
We've
option
already spent
C,
money on it. Yes?
yeah, I think option C is obtainable, the 3,000 square foot one, right? I mean, that's,
3,000 or 2,300?
sorry, 2,300.
That's 2,300.
Okay, apologize,
But
yeah.
remember, that's a third of the size
That's a
of the
third
pool
of the
now.
size of the current pool,
I
which
know.
is still tiny.
Better than 1,500 though.
Well, but what does it really cost to gut and redo the pool we have with the basic same footprint?
When,
Not that you like this, but, you know what, in a perfect world, what I like to see is some citizens and city councilmen in a subcommittee or something just to talk this out because it's complicated. I mean, if we knew exactly what our goal was and, you know, what we could shoot for. Because I know, like, even, you know, the bank said, well, what's your goal? And we're like, well, we don't know.
Yeah, they're gonna say.
We just want
"Okay,
more."
We don't either.
You know, we just want more.
Right.
And,
So automatically, even if we gut the pool and redo it as you suggested, Brian, we still have to renovate the bathhouse. So that
Yeah,
cost is already there.
I'm
And
not even saying I'm
that's-
suggesting
right.
that. I'm
No,
just saying, what's that number look
As an
like?
idea, exactly. So that's still something that has to be done, and that's like 1.3.
so in Carruthers' report, which was not extensive, okay, the 3 options that were presented, option 2 included repairing the deteriorated concrete as indicated on the attached sketch within the basin. Replace all piping surrounding the pool and in the equipment area. This will require removal and replacement of a substantial portion of the deck. Replace all pool equipment, reseal joints, remove the coating in the pool, and recoat with epoxy coating. The budgetary range for this work is $1.8 to $2.4 million. We estimate this will extend the useful life of the facility by 5 to 8 years.
That's terrible.
It's probably why we ended up here.
Kind of
That's
been
just
through-
hard to believe.
We've been through all this.
Now, that does, I mean, on the flip side of that, that gives 5 to 8 years for large fundraising like Alva did for a huge replacement facility. So it's something you look at. Do we spend 2 now to get in 5 to 8 years at $8 million by then, $8 to $10 million aquatic center?
No, because people are gonna look at it, well, you've got a pool, you don't need the money now.
Maybe.
That's what they're gonna do.
And I think that's where, you know, getting maybe, I mean, you guys obviously have a great start, but just maybe getting more input from the citizens to say, you know, here's where we're at. Do we want to wait 6, 8 years and have this, whatever that goal is? Or do we want to pick one of these with the money that's available and
Well,
get started?
on the third option there, which is B, I wish it was the C so it was easy. Sorry. Option B is bigger than option
Right.
C.
Correct.
You're correct.
That's the 3,000 square foot one for
Yes.
3.5 million estimate. I don't even think that that's out of the realm of possibility of having in a year. This group did 300K in 2 months. I believe by the end of the year, they'll easily be at 500,000, probably more. And if that would only put us $1 million away from having the third option. I'm sorry.
Providing the cost,
Second option.
Yeah.
providing
option
the
B.
cost, you
It
can say
stays.
similar.
Right, but we're talking a year, not years. So I don't even think that one's out of the realm of possibility in a year, not 6 to 8 years.
I don't know.
Joe,
Yes,
you
sir.
started out with a one pledge of 250, right?
220.
Pardon me?
You started out with one pledge of 225?
220.
220.
220. From there, you started.
Yeah.
Okay, that was, yeah.
So now
one
we're
time,
at,
one
and now we're
time.
at 290.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're looking for that next
Yeah,
220.
I agree.
So what do you want, let's go back to, do you want to revisit this in 3 months?
Pardon me?
What do you want? You want us to just say, okay, we'll just kick it down the road
Well, I
for a
mean,
couple of years? 'Cause
yeah,
here's what
well,
the
and
problem-
I hate that kick it down the road
Well, here's what
thing.
the problem is, Joe. If this council very well may change the whole face of this thing, okay,
Well,
over the
just
next
three-
2 to
well,
4
just-
years.
Just 3 of you will be gone, right?
That's not necessarily true. In the next 4 years, the whole council may be gone. You don't know. Okay, and it could be. And so, but at that point, let's say it's not done and the monies are still sitting there, the new council, like Eddie said, can come in and say, nope, I want these roads done out here. Forget the pool, fill it in. Because it's a whole new council. So that's the scary part about it as well.
What you're saying is totally true, Brian. Totally
is.
true. Tracy, everybody's totally true, but I personally couldn't imagine a new council coming on here
Well, we-
and
well-
couldn't
seeing
either,
all
but-
this and everything and then saying, no, we want to,
Basically,
I wouldn't imagine that.
At our last meeting, our decision, and I didn't fully express that, we were hoping that we'd get a year, but that we would report to you every 3 months on our money
Well,
raising.
that would put a estimated pool reopen in 2028, and we've already been closed 3 years.
Yeah,
You know,
by
I
then.
mean, I don't know about you guys, I mean, I still have children at home, and they are at home all summer. So I have felt them being
But I
right
really
there
feel like
next
if-
to me, and it's been lots of trips to Highland Park for fishing, but they can only fish so much, so, I feel the need for a pool sooner than 5 years or 3 years. And while I can appreciate the efforts and would like a much larger pool, you can look at this in a multi-phase type situation. And I do know that this group would like whatever they fundraise to expand the square footage of the actual pool itself. And that is what the goal is. I know that if everything would need to be done next April for it to open the following year as far as funding and everything. Is
Yeah.
what it looked like according to the construction timeline when it was provided last time.
Well, that's depending upon contractors and everything else. At this
Ginny
point,
Woodard,
But
we put them off already.
Already have,
But my opinion is, it's just mine, but if you build the 1,500 square foot pool, you're going to send the kids to the park and they're going to come home because they weren't one of the 100 people that got in.
no, and I understand that. I'm not saying to move forward with the smaller one. I'm just saying there has to be a timeline in which the fundraising should stop and what summer we're looking at opening. Right now, we're already too late for 2027, from what I understand, for fundraising efforts. Is 2028 the year that we want to open the pool? If so, what does that look like to stop and to move forward? Because at some point, that is giving a lot of time for
Remember, we're in
fundraising.
25 right now, so we're talking
Right.
2.5 years.
I also want Jenny Woodard, who signed to speak as well before we get done.
Finally.
To say- No, you can stay. You can stay right
Good
there,
job,
Joe.
Joe.
You can stay right there, Joe, to pop back up if you need to.
Good evening. My name's Jenny Woodard. I was born in Guthrie, grew up here, learned to swim at Highland Pool, and we need a bigger pool than 1,500 square feet. I'm here to support Friends of the Guthrie Pool and to try to be here we want to raise more money. And please give us some more time to do so and help us with that. We need all the support of all of Guthrie and the city council and all the community to be able to do that.
And I think that's what we're saying, is we're willing to give you guys the time. But again, just by playing devil's advocate too of what may happen in that, by giving that time. Sometimes you can give time to a project and the project disappears. That's a concern. So that's all I just want people to be aware of.
Hopefully, I don't think it's going to disappear.
I hope not too, but you know.
And if it only gets 100 kids in there, but 1,500 square feet, that's not nearly going to be enough. Guthrie's growing. I live out by Guthrie Lake, and out of 25 houses, 4 of them, new people have moved in. 3 from California, 1 from New York. People are moving to Guthrie. Lots of houses being built around on Pine and west of town.
I just have I'm just kind of brainstorming here. And I'm kind of like Maneka, the time frame. We're already talking 2028. I mean, you know, we could get ran over by a train tomorrow. I don't know. It's hard to predict the future. But what if the current allotment for the current size pool gets started? So we have something. And then that will buy time to continue these efforts, to keep rallying people together, to say, okay, we've got this to start. There's land at Highland Park. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but there's more grassland around the current pool at Highland Park. And there's other places, I'm sure, that in the future, as Guthrie grows, everybody keeps talking about, what about a second pool? Or add to the current pool, or as we move forward. I just personally hate to sit here for another 3 years hoping that costs don't skyrocket, that we don't get ran over by a train, and that this something comes to fruition. Because I have to look at that empty concrete thing every time I walk my dogs through the park, and it's sad. It's sad. And I'm sad that it took this long from the time they closed it, even to previous when they closed it, because we knew things were desperately wrong with it, but we didn't have the money to do much about it because it already cost too much. So here we are, fast forward, here we are, but as we sit here today, I just hate to, and I hate to use the term kicking the can down the road, but that's kind of, I just kind of want to see something. And I think we'll have the buy-in of the citizens if we say, okay, this is the money we have. You guys have already paid, I mean, it's CIP money, you've paid your taxes, this is the money we have. It's not going to cost you much more or any more. Let's start there, give them a pool within the next few years and see how, it doesn't mean we have to stop fundraising. Doesn't mean this committee has to disband.
Well, if the pool's already built, then,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and another thing, when would the construction on the, if we went with any of the plans, whatever, Plan A even, the 1,500 square foot one, when would they even start construction of the physical pool in the ground?
That depends. So give me just a moment. I'll be happy to pull that up.
Because the reason I ask this is, should we start in improving that we are gonna do a pool, should we start on the bathhouses while this group is still raising money, and then that way we're getting the bathhouse done, and then maybe we're starting on the equipment house, and we're starting working on getting that done?
That is something
Will ADA
that,
allow you to build not knowing what the size is going to be originally, and if you do the 2 pool thing, do you know that or not? Will ADA be like, okay, you found them?
so something that has been recommended, in fact, Councilwoman Gibbs brought that up, is, you know, hey, let's go ahead and do the bathhouse and the chemical house.
Yeah.
Well, we could explore that. In the light conversation we had about it is, if we decide to go with a larger pool, making sure a bathhouse that accommodates the occupancy of a new pool, that's something we need to be aware of. The second half is, if we're going to rebuild the equipment facility, we don't want to do it until the equipment is in there. it makes more sense to put the equipment in there and then build the facility.
So it's the chicken and egg thing.
It's a chicken and egg conversation. It's a great idea. It's something, again, Monica brought that up a while back. It's been a while, so. Great conversation, though.
I wouldn't build
Well, so
1,500 is too little.
I'm prepared to make a motion to give you 6 months and check back with us in 3,
So something
if
that,
that works,
to answer your
so we
question.
can move forward.
Brian, on the calendar. We were on track for construction to be complete summer of 2026. It would have been, design would have been complete 1st of May, would have been submitted to the State Health Department and to the city. Would have put bid documents out, open bids in June. Construction would have began in July. It would have been complete and ready to open in April of 2026.
So that ship has sailed.
That ship's gone.
So-
So you'll know that it's that April to April, so it's a year, plus 6 to 12 weeks for a redesign. That's the best estimate I can give you, not knowing what the goal is that we're shooting for.
So we give them 6 months, we're basically looking at January, February. That gives you multiple meetings to be able to come here and update where you're at. Maybe it's even more frequent than 3 months, I don't know.
3.5.
But at least you have 6 months, and then if something happened and we were ready to pull the trigger in May of next year, then it's still possible to have a pool at the beginning of 27, right? Instead of pushing it all the way to 28. That's a long ways.
Well, that's an official motion, Brian.
That's an official motion that I'm making. For 6 months is what I'm making a motion. Where they come back in every 3 at a minimum.
Okay.
So what's the goal for the Friends? What's the goal? Is it the 3,000 square feet? Is
Yeah,
it-
that's what I was gonna say.
So we've got 2 million. Are they raising 1.5 million?
We don't know that because they don't know.
They're trying to raise as much as possible.
They're gonna come back and we're gonna see what money they've raised, and then we're gonna have to make a decision. It's just the way it's gonna have to be.
Okay.
And in the meantime, maybe we could look at gutting and redoing what we got. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shrinking it up some. I can't imagine rebar and concrete would cost that much, but maybe it does.
It does. It does.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I guess it does.
I think Eddie's question on what the goal is would be very important on our abilities to, and I like the thought process of being able to maybe go ahead and start with the bathhouse or the chemical house, and whether it's a phase approach on the pool, if we end up getting started with what we've got, and we look at a second phase of just a deep area, nothing but deep area pool that's attached. I mean, I think it's important for that goal to know where we're at, what that goal is, so that we can add the extra amenities that's needed or might be needed whenever we come to the ADA question Adam had on how many fixtures it may take to meet that, so that we plan for what that goal is. When we start the bathhouse or the chemical, if we plan a second phase, a separate section to the pool, let's go ahead and put that larger pump in when we do the chemicals, so that
Yeah,
the
no
plumbing's
question.
there, the pump's there, waiting for the second phase of just the deep section, or make sure enough fixtures are in the bathhouse that's needed for the second phase when that comes, when the additional
So basically,
funds is hopefully raised. I mean, an idea. I think that a goal is important to know what that goal is, so that we know how to plan and proceed and move forward.
So
We have a
would it
question over
be-
here.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Somebody have a question? State your name and if you live here or not, please.
I'm Abigail Ropp. I
you
live
signed
here.
up? I'm just-
No. Just real quick, just to kind of iterate and make it very clear. In an ideal world, it would be able to have what we have, the 7,000 square foot, in an ideal world. I think that the biggest question that we have is speaking openly and finding out, if we build the bathhouse like you're saying, if we did it on the smaller side of things, just to get things going, is that going to be compliant down the road when you have something bigger? These are all these kinds of questions that we don't know.
Right.
You know, we don't know those kinds of things. So having these kind of open conversations on the fact that it is very clear in the community that 1,500 square foot is not what the community wants. I have 2 little kids. There's no way that I would want to put them in a pool that small. And so knowing that that's the case, and the money has proven, the money speaks, money talks. So we've made a good chunk of money in this amount of time. I can't imagine what we're going to do in 6 months, Brian. So the clear goal would be, in an ideal world, you know, the 7,000 square foot footprint. Can we use what we have in a way that makes it affordable? And then if that doesn't work, then what is the best plan for affordability for the community and for what we've already raised and for the timeline? Because I want this pool as soon as possible, not in 28, in 27. If we could have it next year, that's what I'd want, because my kids are driving me nuts. So to answer that question, the goal would be the 7,000 square foot pool, knowing what that would cost. How could we do it? And could it be based off of historical grants? Because those are a whole bunch of questions that I've been looking at, because this is a WPA pool. That opens up things that we've never gotten to take a look at before. But we need the time frame to be able to apply for those grants, to be able to get those kinds of options coming in. So if you're asking for a goal, 7,000 square foot is the goal. So there we are on that. Sorry, I'm a little blunt.
No,
So
that's fine.
yeah, so that would be, and I mean, if we could make $10 million, and I know that sounds like an absolutely
Right,
ludicrous
but in
number.
6 months, if
but-
we can't,
Yeah.
then
But,
maybe
well, no.
the 3,000 one would have to be the,
We'll at least have a thumb mark
to know.
within
Yeah.
6 months to see,
right.
you know, okay, so we've raised 320,000 and it's 6 months down the road. Compared to where we're at now, we know it's not working at that point.
Right.
Okay, but you come back in 6 months and $1.7 million has been raised, all of a sudden, well, you know,
Right.
Right.
maybe it needs to be relooked at for a little more time.
So if we had that motion that you have, that would be fantastic, because we're going to be able to answer a lot of these questions that we have by approaching you guys and getting all this information that we need. But if you want a clear goal, that's what we're thinking.
Well, I want to add, we don't have a cost estimate on a 7,000 square foot pool.
Well, what we're talking about is taking the hole that we have and redoing it.
Brian, I understand
Yeah,
that.
I know you understand
I get where you're coming from. I think if that's the direction, then we need to explore those cost estimates and what it would take to construct it. And asking the committee to raise $2 million, that's a substantial goal. And I have no doubt. I mean, they've proven that they can raise the funds. They've proven they've got the motion and the inertia to get it done. But 6 months from now, if we're at $1 million and our goal is a 7,000 square foot pool, and that's a $10 million ask, what do we do in 6 months? So that's what I'm asking. You've got 3 options. If we want to explore a 4th option, that's a 7,000 square foot pool, or if it's a 5th option of, hey, we want to come in and tear this pool out and replace it, make the required ADA upgrades, the code compliant upgrades. I mean, do we want to look at that before we say, hey, we want a 7,000 square foot pool, and we don't know what that cost estimate is, and
Well,
we don't know what that timeline is?
I was just looking at this from the GH2 architects, which, back to Tenny's comment about what is required, like if you start on the bathhouse and the chemical house and all of that, they spelled out per option. Option A, how many urinals, how many this, how many that. Option B, how many, option C, 2 lifeguards, how many urinals, how many showers, this and that. So I do think, and bathing load, I do think if that's what the goal is, at a 7,000 square foot pool, I think we have to go to the health department and the architects and say, okay, if this is our goal, what do we have to open a 7,000 square foot pool with a cost attached to it? Because right now we don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
We're just guessing from these 3 options that we currently have, which none of them really suffice now to what everybody wants, supposedly.
Well, I just think at the end of the 6-month period, instead of keep going with what ifs, we address it then.
In 6 months.
Do we want to explore the cost estimate of a 7,000 square foot pool? Do we want to explore the cost estimate of trying to reconstruct, if it's
I
possible?
would like to look at what it looks like to try to reconstruct the pool that we have and the hole that we have with the ADA requirements and what is necessary for the health department code regulation to our current bathhouse.
Okay. Is that,
I believe that
I think
is
that's-
in agreement with the current group.
Important
And
information.
the problem with that, playing devil's advocate, is that the kids these days, they're looking at Edmund's pool, and they're looking at all the different features that come with it.
Agreed.
It's like you're looking at Alva's pool with all the different features on it. And now all of a sudden, they have a rectangle with water. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna not go? Or are they gonna go? So there's, you gotta look at that side of it as well.
Well, not that it will be popular with everyone, but when Tenny was talking about two pools, the two-pool solution, that's always something to consider too. I mean, I really like the idea of trying to, figure out how to fix the pool that we have. But,
and something else to consider too, we haven't even thought about or had a conversation on operational costs.
Expensive.
Yeah, that's the next thing.
That's,
Of a
so,
7,000 square foot pool.
and I'm asking these questions because we need to have a clearly defined goal. The momentum that this group has is amazing, and to see what they've been able to produce in such a short amount of time is, again, nothing short of phenomenal. But we want to make sure that we're clear on what are we aiming for. I didn't know that we were aiming for a 7,000 square foot pool replacement. I thought we had 3 options that we were going to explore. So if that's something we're going to look at, then I would like for us to go back to GH2 and to Crossland and say, tell us what this looks like.
and we want to hit Crossland up for a donation.
Eddie, I only brought it up because it's hard to fathom that we couldn't
Cushing's pool.
re-concrete what we have.
I completely understand where you're coming from.
I don't know, though, I'm not an engineer.
Sure, I'm not either.
And it's like when my kids wanted to swim, I built them a pool. Okay, that's what happened. And so, and a lot of people I'm curious about that are, especially that are living over by the lake, in a lot of these areas, are they gonna come to a pool? That's a big question that I don't know the answer to.
Well, I don't think.
Or is it just gonna be the area right around the pool that is gonna be using the pool? I don't know the answer to any of that.
If you build it, they will come.
Well, okay.
And I
I
think,
drive to Cushing to use the pool.
I think there's
Well, I've been
a,
here 30 years, and I've been out to that pool a lot as my kids were growing up. They were both raised here, and I never seen the kind of activity that everybody's talking that's been at that pool, ever.
so,
But that doesn't mean it's not.
No. And I will say that every pool that I went to, the 3 that I went to, there were always over 300 people in the pool. In towns much smaller than here.
Yeah, I'm sure there
And
are.
I don't think any of us really doubt that.
Yeah,
Because,
I think
I talked to Duncan, I went and took pictures of Duncan's pool, and we've all kind of been on this pool brigade the last couple of months. But again, I just want to throw this out there, but Duncan's pool holds 1 million gallons of water. It's 110 by 50. And their
So it's 5,000 square feet.
Tenny and Duncan that I spoke with, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he has Tenny's position in Duncan.
I think his name was.
Public Works Director.
Public Works Director in Duncan told me that their chemical cost alone for 3 months operating out of the year was $125,000 to $130,000 for chemicals
That's a lot.
for a 5,000 square foot pool. Now, I'm just, again, we are gathering information
Right.
from all sources that we can to educate everyone on what this could look like. Because again, the more you dig into it, the more information you find. And then it is complicated.
So maybe the 6 months is a good window then. That gives you to the end of January, and
I think so.
we see where we're at, and knowing that the pool's not happening in 26.
Right.
But it stands a little bit of a prayer of happening in 27.
Correct.
Depending upon if we can get together after that 6-month meeting and say, okay, here's what we need to do.
And if they've raised 6 million, well, wow, you guys can do your 7,000 square foot pool. But if they've only raised 700,000, we're like, well, now you've closed in on your 3,000 square foot one, and that's
And then we can make a decision
Make a
to have a
decision
pool
then.
for
Yeah.
27.
yeah.
I think that's fair.
Keep
So-
in mind, this reevaluation of the pool being 7,000 square feet or tearing out and whatever, doesn't come free.
No.
No,
No, it doesn't.
And GH2 and Crossland have, again, I brag on them because we paused a project for 4 months and they haven't charged us a dime, and they've been very responsive to budget estimates and said, hey, I need a quick design on this, and they turned it around really quick. So I think they'd be more than willing to accommodate the request. I want to leave with, we could talk hypotheticals and what ifs all day. The reason I asked for a goal is because we can measure it.
Right.
What size pool, how much, and if the Friends are not able to raise that, so if we set our sights on a $3.5 million pool, and we know we've got 2 million, we've got $500,000 for contingencies, and if they come back with $500,000, what's our intent at that point?
Well, then we're looking at the middle pool.
2.9.
Okay, so we want to explore an option of a 7,000 square foot pool, and we want to explore an option of repairing what's there with Crossland and GH2.
That is the 7,000
That
square
is the
foot pool.
7,000.
We don't want to do a new 7,000 square foot pool. We're talking about redoing
Okay.
the existing 7,000 square foot pool.
If it's a possibility.
If
it
it's a
can be done.
possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's not, it's a non-issue.
Right.
That's going to be way too much.
Okay,
I thought we did that in the very beginning.
Well, that's what I thought too.
we did, I mean, that's Carruthers' response is you get 5 years for $2.4 million in 2023.
They were talking about shelling it. I'm talking
Yeah, but-
about gutting it and
Yeah, I
using the
understand,
same
but
footprint.
concrete was failing and everything else.
Yeah, I think
It's-
that was just like repairing,
I'm talking about pulling it all out
pulling it
using the
all
same
out,
hole.
same.
Right,
hole,
not
redoing it.
patching anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think Brian had a motion for 6 months. I'll second.
I think Jeff already did.
Did he? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay,
We have a motion in a second, just to be clear that what we're talking about is the 6 months. We had a 3-month report, and then.
So we're gonna get a report middle of November and then middle of January. And then we'll know where we're at.
All right. Anybody, any other questions, comments down here? All right, cast your votes.
Good enough, Mr. Chris?
All right, unanimous approval. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everyone who came to speak and
Thanks,
support.
guys.
Joe. Billy's got the paper for you.
Oh. I was trying to find you earlier, but you weren't here. And I wasn't here either.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, guys. Bye. All right, item number 6, Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. Discussion, consideration and possible action on a request to adopt the City of Guthrie Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. Mr. Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. As indicated, this is the City of Guthrie Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. Our consultant, Kimley Horn, is here. We'll be doing a presentation that will go over basically the highlights of the plan. I just want to mention that this plan did go to the Planning Commission in July, and they recommended that the council adopt such plan at a 4-0 vote. So I'll hand it over to Monica right now, and then if you have any questions of us at the end.
Thank you, Dan. Well, we'll keep this as short, but I would love to answer any questions if there are any from the council. So like Dan mentioned, we have been working on the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan for the city for a little bit over a year now. This is funded by a grant called Safe Streets and Roads for All, which is a federal grant. The city had a 20% local match, and the 80% was funded by FHWA. So we're going to present, we have the draft plan, which is ready for adoption. We did work on this plan with a group, the Safety Steering Committee, and it involved members of the city. We have several folks here that city staff that assisted with the plan, as well as members of the public, to give that partnership together to help draft the recommendations and provide comments. So we started last August. We held 5 total Safety Steering Committee, or SSC, meetings. We are here in adoption. I know it says June. We pushed it a little bit forward. Obviously, we're here in August. But the draft plan was available online April and May of this year for public comment. We also did 2 public workshops. We did pop-up events. So we were at the Art and Wine Festival. That was last fall in October. And we were also at the Touch the Truck event just recently here over the summer, which had a great turnout. So we got some public feedback from there. So that was our timeline for developing the plan. The report itself is a little bit over 100 pages. It's structured in 6 chapters. I'm not going to walk you through all 100 pages. If you have questions, I know that it was provided in the packet for today. So we're happy to answer any questions if you had any as we walk through the document, but I'm going to go through the highlights, specifically what the plan recommends and what kind of analysis was performed. So the first chapter is what we call the safety framework, which incorporates 3 different principles that are very common in the safety planning world. So we have the safe systems approach, which defines 5 focus areas that we need to address in order to have a full safe system. We have the 6 E's of safety. A lot of folks think that traffic safety is just an engineering problem, but it's not just engineering. There are several other components that build into a safe systems approach. And then we also have Vision Zero, which is a newer ideology, but it's adopted by FHWA. It's part of the catalyst for this whole funding program that this project is funded by. But it basically shows that we share responsibility and that we need to work specifically to improve fatal and severe crashes, not just all crashes, because people do make mistakes. And we can't prevent things like fender benders from happening, but we can build a safer system that protects users when those mistakes do happen. So the Safety Steering Committee, the first thing that we tasked them to do was to build a mission statement. So this is the mission statement for the project, which is to create a culture of safety that promotes a safe multimodal transportation network for all ages and abilities through community education, policy, and infrastructure improvements to eliminate fatalities and injuries on Guthrie's roads. So that's kind of our North Star. It is more of a high level. We don't have specific goals on this, but this is what we're trying to work towards with all of our projects and as well policies that are in the plan. For this project, we also developed specific guiding principles. There are 6 total. This was based off of a combination of feedback that we heard from the committee as well as public input. So these are common things. I'm sure you guys hear about some of these topics as well, being in city council. So the 6 major guiding principles involve schools, growth, downtown, speeding, bicycle and pedestrian safety, as well as post-crash care. And we believe that these 6 guiding principles encompass the major concerns, both from the data perspective and from what the public would like to see from this plan, in terms of where investments should go in making a safer transportation network. I mentioned the Safety Steering Committee. We've got a photo. We've been meeting in the council chambers for the last year or so. I joke that this is one of the few rooms that we continually come back to, both for presentations and for these committee meetings. But a special shout out to those who helped us on that project and helped us provide that feedback. We asked y'all to give a lot of feedback and some activities to help us determine where our priorities should be. I mentioned community engagement as well. The Wine and Craft Festival was in October. Touch a Truck was in May. We also had business cards for the project and a website. The website housed a couple of public surveys. There was a form-based survey and a map survey. In total, we collected 128 responses on our form-based survey, which we are really, really proud of. I think it shows how much the residents of Guthrie care about a more specific topic like traffic safety. 125 responses on the interactive map survey, which asked folks to place pins on a map. So getting into some of the data, we took a look at crashes over the past 5 years of available data. The Oklahoma Highway Safety Office, or OSO, are the ones that manage crash data for the state of Oklahoma. The currently available data set is 2017 to 2021. So I want y'all to keep this in mind when we're looking at the data. This is why the community input is so important, and the committee's input is important on our recommendations, because the data is only as good as the years that it comes from. So we understand that some of the overall trends, we may not be seeing those trends anymore, but for specific locations, we did make sure to ground truth those in areas where we know there are current problems. But the data is the data sometimes with these projects. So what we're seeing is that over the 5-year period, we had a high percentage of fatal and severe crashes for bikes and peds. 78.6% of those crashes resulted in either a fatality or severe injury. Lane departure was the highest common manner of collision, so that's when somebody veers either into the opposing lane of traffic or outside of the road. Failure to yield was the most common contributing factor. It is worth noting that a lot of these contributing factors, they're based on police reports, and so some of this data, we understand that reporting officers are doing what they can to report accurate information. So sometimes, for example, things like speeding, if it wasn't measured, then they can't report it as speeding because they're trying to make sure that the information's accurate. So we see a lot of that failure to yield in the data, mostly because that is usually clear because the crash occurred in the first place. Same with rear end crashes. That is a decently prevalent crash type in the city as well over the 5-year period. Part of this process involved a spatial analysis called the High Injury Network. What I want you guys to know is that this network of roads, it represents, if we're going to work towards getting that fatalities and serious injuries to 0, these are the roadways that we believe the city should start with in making improvements. Some of these roads are not going to surprise you. Obviously, a large part of Division and Noble is on the High Injury Network. We see a high number of traffic volumes, but we also see a high rate of crashes. And this analysis took into account those traffic volumes to make sure that we weren't comparing, for example, 35 to a local road in the city. So we divided the roads out by their classification, normalized it by volumes, and these are the roads that have the highest rates of crashes per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. This represents 8.5% of the total roads in the city of Guthrie, and it's 69% of your fatal, serious, and minor injury. That's what KAB stands for, and 100% of your fatalities, or Ks, is on this high injury network. So 8.5% of your roads, 100% of your fatalities. So in terms of making an impact, this is where we are not bound to doing this, but this would be our recommendation based on the data.
So
yes.
Recommending what on Division, for example?
We actually have specific recommendations for a portion of Division.
That is a state highway.
Absolutely, yes. And part of this plan, we want, the question always comes up of, do we look at roads that are owned by ODOT or not? And it is up to every city to determine that, because this is a study at the end of the day. What is important is that ODOT has a much higher level view of everything, and they have been attending. They were actually part of our steering committee. They attended every meeting. They wanted to hear what citizens thought, as well as members of city staff. And so they are committed to working with the city if a road is ODOT owned. But it sometimes takes a bit of that grassroots from local jurisdictions to kind of elevate those issues and say, hey, we looked at this, we developed a concept, these are the countermeasures that would work for the crash types that we're seeing, and we can work towards a cost estimate and get that with ODOT to get a little bit fast track on a project. We all know how important it is to have the details on a project before you take it to the people who are going to pay for it, right? Yeah. So we did, on top of the high injury network, we identified 5 study corridors. And these were where we called a road safety audit, which is the process. We were in the field, we did observations, we looked deeper into those crash causes and contributing factors to understand the patterns and come up with recommendations. Again, for the sake of brevity and time, I wanted to walk y'all through an example. So East Noble is one of the areas that we, West Noble is one of the areas. We also looked at East Noble, but this example is West Noble. So this is coming in to the city from the west. We have a high rate of speeding crashes on this corridor. As well, there is an intersection that is currently two-way stop controlled, and you have the gas station connected to that, which is a bit newer development. We saw a high rate of intersection crashes at that intersection, likely because of the context. It's also a bit poor sight distance out there with the curvature of the roadway, as well as some vertical sight distance issues with the vertical crest. So speeding and intersection related were our top emphasis areas for this corridor. We saw improper turning, rear end, angle, turning crashes, and failure to yield as our top manners and contributing factors. So some of the recommendations that we have out here, we would recommend doing a traffic signal warrant analysis at that intersection by the gas station. We believe, so there is actually a warrant in the MUTCD for that warrant's based on a certain number of crashes, and we believe that this intersection is a candidate for that warrant. Usually people think of warrants in terms of traffic volumes, and if it's not a high enough volume roadway, then it won't warrant, but there is an exception for intersections that have a high rate of crashes. So we recommend doing a traffic signal warrant analysis for this intersection. We also would recommend on top of that adding increased lighting at the intersection for better visibility, restripe the pavement markings and add lane assignment markings onto the pavement and signage to help people understand. I think right now it's a bit wide. People aren't sure if it's one lane or two lane. It helps make those movements a bit more predictable so that people make better movements whenever they're looking for their gap.
So again, isn't that Highway 33 we're talking about? And the state highway again right there?
Yes,
so
sir.
how do we as a council make that determination?
And Brian, excuse me, I'm sorry. To jump in, ODOT had representation on the committee.
Yes.
And so they were present
So we
in the
can-
room throughout the entirety of the plan.
Yes.
Okay,
So
because
they-
there's an action item on this, and I'm just kind of curious how we as a council, without being in those meetings,
Yes,
would
sir.
know that.
Yes, sir. ODOT did have representation, has been a part of it, and supports this plan, which is, as a reminder, the reason, the purpose we pursued the grant for the plan is to pursue future grants and making the streets safer.
Right.
So we can come in and we've got a plan to support the grant application. And for example, we've applied many times for Sooner, and then Sooner and Division, and then a portion of Sooner and Division. This helps us when we make those applications to say, not only is the Department of Transportation on board, we've gone through a public process to say that these are the improvements that are needed.
All right, my question's answered. I was just
Great.
curious how we approve something
Absolutely.
that's state-owned.
And we should have shared that, and I apologize that we should have shared that with you.
And I will add as well, so the motion that we will be asking for y'all at the end of the presentation is whether or not to adopt this plan. Adopting it does not commit any funds toward any projects. These are not design documents or anything like that. This is a study. These are recommended countermeasures. And like Mr. Faulkner said, there is also, we already have the support of ODOT because they received the plan and they provided their comments. We addressed those, and so they're aware of it as well, which makes things a lot easier down the road, pun intended. Great. So, and then in addition to this, we also recommend adding a two-way left turn lane on this stretch of roadway to help, you see the rear end crashes being common. That usually is caused by a lack of a left turn lane for folks to be able to move into. And so if people aren't paying attention and somebody is stopped to make a left turn, then that can cause those rear end collisions. It also helps at intersections as well for people to be able to stop midway if they need to and make it two-stage. So. That's an example of what the recommendations look like. This is, like I mentioned, one of 5 study corridors. We did East Noble, Division, and Sooner as well. So please let us know if you have any questions if you looked at it. But in addition to these targeted recommendations, we also have systemic recommendations. Think of this kind of like a best practices document for these are the types of countermeasures that are proven with data to reduce certain types of crashes. The types of crashes that they help are actually noted in those columns. So that's what the dots indicate is rows are countermeasures. The dots indicate if it is going to help that specific crash type. So this is a way to help diagnose things in the future without having to go through the full RSA process. We say systemic because we think that they are applicable system-wide, specifically to the city of Guthrie. And this is based on, like I mentioned, research from ITE, as well as public support. We surveyed folks in the public about what types of countermeasures they're willing to consider and things like that. So then lastly, I mentioned we had projects and we have policies. So the policy here side is what we call the action plan. All of the actions in this plan are organized by those 6 guiding principles that I talked about at the beginning. They identify a time frame by which we recommend the action be started, what partners should be involved in its implementation, and then what kinds of funding sources can be used for it. Specifically, if there's a grant for this, we wanted to highlight that for y'all so that you can understand where there's already opportunity to bring funds to the city. So like I mentioned, there's 6 different areas that are the guiding principles. We're focused, for example, in this presentation for the sake of brevity, these are the bicycle and pedestrian actions. We have 5 of them total, and they range from increasing education with the county health department. We know that they have resources, partnering with them more to distribute those resources, especially for children. They have great resources such as bike rodeo, event supplies and coloring sheets, things that can be distributed through existing channels, as well as new studies like completing a citywide ADA transition plan. So these are the kinds of actions. So it partners with the projects that would be on the ground. Things like if you're going to improve accessibility at an intersection, then we need to study the rest of the city to improve ADA accessibility. So these kind of partner together for that well-rounded approach with the 6 E's. So this is our final, I guess, meeting. We only have 1 action item left on the project. I would love to entertain any more questions if there are any from City Council, but we are asking for a motion to either adopt or do not adopt the safety action plan today.
Okay. Dan, do you have anything you'd like to add or?
No, I was just gonna, the one thing that I really liked about this plan when it came to the public surveys is about, I think it was around 74% of the respondents from the public were looking at bike and pedestrian improvements, or basically alternative mobility to a car, which I was very happy about. You know, there's definitely a lot of our community that is looking for those improvements to help that arena.
And none of this is in Tenny's department at all with streets or anything?
Oh,
yeah. You don't have to come up, you don't have to come up here, Tenny.
Any comments, Tenny?
You don't have to, Tenny. I was just wondering what you thought or.
Most definitely. I mean, this plan affects my department just as much as everybody within the city limits. As we go to look at these areas of different intersections that she pinpointed out, where those studies have been performed now, and we have actual document that's showing the data, and it's all gathered for us. It will, as Eddie shared, help out in future grants where we go out and maybe apply for a TAP grant or something like that in the future, where many of these exact intersections have already been applied for grants, was not awarded. Having this document will help out tremendously moving forward for additional funds through grant processes. All the data is already compiled that we would have to go compile and try to put together for those grants. It's here in our hands now for that process. So,
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Questions, comments from anybody?
Good presentation.
Here.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work you guys have done.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
Thank you for giving that.
Yes.
All right. Well.
So I'll motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. No further questions, or Eddie, you have anything?
No, sir. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Let's see our votes.
All votes are in.
Unanimous approval for the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 7, the fiscal year 2025-2026 School Resource Officer Agreement. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the fiscal year 2025 to 2026 School Resource Officer, also known as SRO, agreement between the City of Guthrie and the Guthrie School District of Logan County. Mr. Faulkner.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this agreement is similar just as you have considered and approved in years past. Just a brief history, the City of Guthrie provides 2 SROs to the Guthrie Public Schools District. Jonathan Williams, who was formerly a City of Guthrie police officer, retired a couple years back and is now a full-time Guthrie Public Schools school employee. So the difference in this agreement is that we provide 2 officers at no cost to the district, and we pay the district $8,484.00 for this contract. It is an increase of about $300, which would have been the difference from a previous contract where GPS was paying us for 3 officers. They hired Jonathan Williams, also known as J-Dub, directly. They pay his salary directly, so we're not paying that salary, but we're also not billing the school for the SROs. So the agreement worked out great for both entities. The only difference is that we pay the cost difference of what the contract would have been for GPS to pay for 3 officers, which is that $8,484, which is essentially Mr. Williams' health insurance. So staff recommends approval.
Questions, comments? Anybody like to entertain a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a
Or
motion
second.
and a second at the same time.
There you go.
I guess we'll have Brian as 1 and Jeff as 2. Okay. All right, if no further comments or questions, please cast your votes.
I'll vote Stern.
Okay. Unanimous approval for the School Resource Officer Agreement. Item number 8, the Guthrie Housing Authority Board appointment. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve the reappointment of Jonathan McClinn to the Guthrie Housing Authority Board as resident commissioner for a 3-year term expiring August of 2028.
Staff recommends approval, Mayor. We did receive a letter. Give me just a second. I've got it right here in the packet. We did receive a letter from Ms. Ricker recommending the renewal of an existing commissioner, Jonathan McClinn, as a resident. Term would expire August 2028.
Yep.
Staff recommends approval.
Hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Further comments or questions, please cast your votes.
I'll vote Stern.
All right, unanimous approval to appoint Mr. McClinn to the Guthrie Housing Authority Board. Item number 9, City Manager's Report. Mr. Faulkner.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I apologize for the marathon meeting tonight. I know that it's got a lot going on. I do want to start out with thanking the Friends of the Pool for their commitment to the pool and all of their fundraising efforts. We are fortunate to have a group of citizens who are so dedicated to a project and the betterment of the community. So what they've been able to do, as I said during that presentation, is nothing short of phenomenal in a very short amount of time. Would like to clear up, there appears to be some confusion, or has been some confusion in the past about the cost estimates and how we figured out what the cost of these proposals are for the pool. This is probably something I should have mentioned during the earlier item, but want to take a moment to address this. When we hire a construction management firm, the whole purpose of doing it through Title 61 construction management projects is to have your contractor on board to estimate throughout the project as you design. So there's 2 methods to construction. You can do a hard bid method where you hire an architect to design a project and then you put it out for bid and then you know what it costs. Or you can hire a construction manager who is on board in the beginning and is creating budgets as you go through the design phases. So that does not waive the city from the PCBA. The Public Competitive Bidding Act of 1974 requires every project that we do over $100,000 to be competitively bid. So what we're working off of now are cost estimates based on what Crossland is seeing out in the field. This council, this staff, we put an RFP out We interviewed 3 different construction management firms, and we hired Crossland. So what we've done in doing that, we're not saying, hey, Crossland, you get to build the pool. We're saying every document that gets designed, Crossland, you're acting as our general contractor, still has to be competitively bid. So I just want to make that clear. That seems to be some confusion out there. It's something I've heard a couple of times. I should have addressed that during the presentation, but just want to remind everybody, everything still has to be competitively bid, and that could be to our benefit. Could also be to our detriment. And we could open bids and see that, you know, we've got 10% more that we could play with. So just wanted to address that, make sure that's clear. And if there's any questions about that, I'm happy to discuss it further. But all of that has gone through a public request for qualifications, public interview, contract negotiation, and council hiring prior to getting to where we are today. So. Moving along from the pool, the West Side Booster Pump Station contractor Betaco is currently waiting on the equipment to come in before the pump can be installed. Our crews have installed an inserter valve, which will allow us to isolate that area once the pump is here and ready to be reset. Just a reminder, that is a CIP project. That's replacing the oldest booster station in our distribution system. So we look forward to that. We've seen some supply chain issues in getting the equipment, and that's what's been the holdup. Originally, this project was supposed to have been done in June, but like everything else, we're seeing delays, and not just in time, but also in supply chain. The Cottonwood Creek 12-inch water main repair currently in progress. Casing is in place as of today. Tenny? Yes, working through that with all expenses at this moment. We are currently at a total project cost of $531,268.46. So once we have a complete and total cost, I will continue to provide you updates, just as I said I would and have done. I can tell you $57,000 of that is directly attributed to Wilson and Company for railroad flagging. So it was required for the project.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We've requested backups to their invoice. It's
Is that Chris out there holding the flag?
No. I can tell you that your staff continues to be a watchdog and to ask for that information. We had not paid the invoices, and then we got told if we didn't pay the invoices that they were going to shut the project down. So we went ahead and paid it and got it out there. We continue to ask for supporting documentation. And as soon as I receive that, I'd be happy to share it with you.
Just to go.
Yeah. The BNSF they're great community partners, but they certainly have.
Well, those railroad employees make a lot of money.
Yeah.
They certainly have the control. Let me just say that. Along that same subject, Oklahoma Emergency Management is currently appealing the decision. So the water main break was a result of the floods and the severe weather that we had in late April, early May. OEM submitted through FEMA to the governor's office, to FEMA, to the president, a disaster declaration, which would then allow us access to federal funds and hopefully some reimbursement for this project. That declaration was denied by the president, so we are currently working with OEM and the governor's office on an appeal. If awarded, Logan County's portion in collection would be approximately $616,000. Majority of that is our water main. There are other funds for Logan County road districts amongst the 3 commissioners. I know that I visited with Commissioner Kaufman yesterday, and he's waiting on $8,000 plus. So there's a whole lot out there. We're doing all we can. I will say OEM has been great to work with. Of course, we've got good emergency management team here with Steve Haga and Sean, David Ball. We're very fortunate to have a connection with OEM through David Ball, and we continue to use that. And hopefully we'll be successful in getting reimbursed for some of that project cost. We did complete interviews this week with construction management firms and architecture firms for both Owen Field, again, as a result of the amended funding requests through the Land Water Conservation Fund, and then also the Highland Hall remodel, which has been on the back burner for a few years. 2 weeks ago, Caden, Grant Aguirre, and myself, Councilor Aguirre, represented Guthrie at Oshkosh, the world's largest air show. Over 715,000 visitors on a 7-day period. We attended with the state of Oklahoma as the state's third largest general aviation airport and recipient of $15 million in federal grants. We were happy to go and recruit businesses and industry to the state. So that was a great event. We look forward to putting both Oklahoma and Guthrie on the map. It's also a good opportunity for us to network with both state and federal officials, keeping them apprised of what our needs are here and making sure that, you know, we didn't get $15 million in federal funds by not being Guthrie and having the third largest GA airport. So to do that, we have to participate and represent and show ourselves at the world's largest air show. The 2025 OML Annual Conference is coming up. It'll be held September 9th through 11th in Oklahoma City. If you'd like to attend, please let me know. There's a variety of classes that will take place over that 3-day period. Do have a joint city council meeting coming up on Friday, September 12th at Meridian Tech from 9 to 12 with the City of Guthrie and the City of Edmond. Topics will be, of course, airport development, budget commitments. Again, as we have $15 million in federal grants, our commitments to what's going on out at the airport are substantial. We'll also take, for those who are interested, discovery flights from several pilots out on the field to experience the takeoff and landing at your airport. Standards IT is working on transitioning staff email to Microsoft 365, completed first, second floors of City Hall this morning, as well as department heads. We will continue that and hopefully get the City Council up and running very quickly with your cloud-based email if you so choose to utilize the City of Guthrie email. Would also like to end with a congratulations to Mason Davis on completing his paramedic certification. That's a great another addition to our team. Of course, Firefighter Davis was already on board, but was going through the paramedic class, and so continue to see our folks grow their education. With that, Mayor, that's all I have for you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Faulkner. Item number 10, request comments from members of the City Council. Councilman Williams.
Well, I appreciate what we heard earlier with the chief and his fire chief and getting responses for those bills. That's a big, big thing, and I'm sure it takes a lot of your time to do so, but it saved us a lot of time and money. And then one thing we've learned from this tonight through the safety issue and the pool is you can't do anything without a plan. And the plan takes time, the plan costs money, so you really can't commit anything to it till you have that plan. So it's good to remind us of that.
All right, Councilwoman Denning.
I would just like to say again, thank you for, I think they've all left. It is kind of a marathon meeting, but thank you to the pool committee and everyone that came to speak. Again, I do appreciate as well any involvement and their enthusiasm in city projects, and the pool is just hopefully kind of a beginning of getting people behind what they want to see for the city and everyone's involvement. Again, yes, ditto on the invoice collection, and that's amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think that's it.
Okay, Vice Mayor Taylor.
Thank you, staff. Everybody else has beat me to it. One thing else, a friend of ours, a lot of you guys will probably know, Shirley Davis passed away, I think, this morning, and they haven't said when the funeral's going to be, but I thought I'd mention that tonight. But other than that, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Guthrie.
I ditto our other councilmen and councilwoman, but on the pool, I am really proud of the team that came together on that. I just hope that they can hit their goal, whatever that may be, in a reasonable time frame so that we can move forward with that project. That's it for me.
Councilwoman Gibbs.
I agree. I think we have a really great team Guthrie, as everybody always knows, and the momentum with our citizens is growing, not just with the pool, but in every facet of our community here in it. It's admirable and really great to see. So I can't wait to see what everybody continues to do moving forward.
And again, I also want to thank the pool group that came, and I admire and am impressed just what they've been able to accomplish, and I really just appreciate their passion and concern and their willingness to volunteer and do what they're doing. I also want to thank the fire chief. You've done such a great job. I remember not too long ago, it was, man, I wish we could have 11 on a shift, and I think you have humbly not said this, but I think you're the reason why that's happening. So I'll say it for you. I think you're the reason why we are where we are, and I appreciate it. So, let's see what else. I also want to thank everybody who came and spoke today, and I appreciate the safety action plan. Dan, you as well, Tinny. And with that, that is all I have. Item number 11. Proposed executive session pursuant to the authority of Title 25 OS 307 as follows. For items A through D.
So moved.
Oh, moved, yeah.
Second.
Second, okay. Cast your votes, please.
All votes for it.
We'll make it quick, Chris.
Okay, we'll go.
We will.
We'll be back.
Fast now. It'll be
It's past Brian's
Okay,
bedtime.
I'm gonna take your little hint, I'm bringing granola bars. the
I
next
told you,
time.
I know what I've been here before. I've been there with a granola bar.
Oh,
Yeah. I know. Whenever I see, when I see executive session, I always bring
I-
a power bar, I bring water, I bring coffee.
okay, well, now I know. I should have took the newspaper up on the cracker.
Are we here?
Hello. Manika and Taylor.
Chris did.
Yes, well, that's when that was part of the one we approved in the
All right, we're back. Will somebody make a motion, please,
Make a
to
motion to return.
return? A motion, motion and a second. Please
Okay.
cast your votes to return us here from the session.
All votes are in.
All right, unanimous approval to come out of the executive session. Item number, well, I'm going to say item number 11, we discussed items A through D and no action was taken, so there will be no action at this time. Item number, what's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was it.
Oh, no. Yeah, item number 12, there we are. Okay, item 13, we are adjourned, but we have open up our Public Works Authority meeting this Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Item number 2, the consent agenda, items A through M. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion as is. Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. If there's no discussion or questions, please vote.
All votes are in.
Okay, unanimous approval for the consent agenda. Item number 3, items removed from the consent agenda, there were none. Item number 4, we are adjourned.
See?